back up.
Yep. Okay, so
Okay.
can you see my screen?
Yes.
Can you see ducks?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Then I'm going to just jump. Can you hear me okay?
Right. We want to do a little
introduction. Yeah. We want to do a couple introductions before you go, though. So if we can unshare while we do that.
Sure.
Or is that a problem? Unless that's a problem, then we won't do it.
Stop sharing. Perfect. I can do that. Great.
You want to put Linda up there,
Elaine.
Kristen? Can you put
Eileen, you're talking, so just talk, and then whoever talks will come up.
Okie doke. Well, okay. Well, let's start this over. Thanks everyone for your patience. It's always a snafu with the audio visuals and things, but we've done our very best and everybody's flexible. So I thank you for being helpful with that. So once again, good evening and welcome. And tonight we're privileged to have the Dean, who's going to be giving some welcoming remarks first, and then I will introduce our speakers. So Dean, please go right ahead and do some welcoming remarks as we're celebrating Nurses Week, Nurses Month, this very special year of the pandemic being hopefully over. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. This is Linda Lewandowski. I'm Dean of the University of Toledo College of Nursing, and we want to welcome you to the 101st birthday of Florence Nightingale. This is a special day in nursing every year, and it's also the International Day of Nursing, decreed so. So we're excited to have you with us to join this celebration tonight and our exciting speaker. The topic of our speaker tonight, focusing on nursing self-care, is particularly relevant because some of you may be, as some or many of you might be aware, yesterday afternoon was the unveiling of the National Academy of Medicine's Nursing for the Future 2030. So we see you, Eileen. They'll just see me really small. That's fine. The 2030 version of Nursing for the Future has 9 recommendations. And recommendation number 3, I'm just going to read to you because it's very pertinent. It says by 2021, which is now, nursing education programs, employers, nursing leaders, licensing boards, and nursing organizations should initiate the implementation of structured systems and evidence-based interventions to promote nurses' health and well-being, especially as they take on new roles to advance health equity. So tonight we're going to really have a focus on what we all need to do to kind of together implement recommendation number 3 for ourselves and for our organizations, our colleagues, our students, our employees, everyone that we work with. Many of you are familiar with the quadruple aim of health, which recognizes as aim number 4, the importance of the well-being of our caregivers. So we're excited to have our speaker tonight. Dr. Walsh is going to introduce her to you all, and I'm not going to take up more time, just to welcome you. Happy Nurses Day, Nurses Week, and Nurses Month, according to the ANA. It's a great time to celebrate our profession. So Dr. Walsh.
Great, thank you so much, Dean, and I hope we'll get these videos working here. Well, I have the distinct honor and pleasure of introducing our speaker tonight. Nancy is a colleague of mine. She shares a passion for cardiovascular care delivery to patients. She's a veteran seasoned nurse with more than 28 years of experience. And Nancy, aside from her busy work in an office practice, so going to be the new president of the Society for Vascular Nursing, and also it's feedback here. Also, I wanted to share with you that she's also certified in holistic nursing. So we're so pleased that she can share all of her expertise with us tonight and help all of us learn to look inward and help manage all the stress that we experience and deal with it in a positive therapeutic way. So welcome, Nancy. It's really a delight to have you with us tonight. And I will turn off both my video and mute myself so we
Okay, can everybody hear me?
Yeah,
Go.
Yeah,
you're good.
Perfect. Okay, so we're gonna
yes.
dive right in, just like the ducks here. I love the picture of self-care. It perfectly depicts the whole purpose of what we're here to do. And on that note, I just want to tell you how grateful I am that you've invited me. I mean, what a platform to be able to participate in this. Florence Nightingale's birthday, Nurses Week, and it's just going to be a great hour. And I really planned this to have, we'll have some dialogue and then really the experientials, because I want you to see just how simple it is to take even 5 minutes to do a self-care measure. I'm hoping that, I do believe in miracles, and maybe somewhere along the line, somebody gets a brainstorm idea of how we get the actual the sound to be better, but I've improvised here and I've connected my bows, and I'm just going to try to go that route, and hopefully you can hear enough just to get an idea. But even if it doesn't, I mean, really what we're going to be talking about is the inner healing resources that we all behold. So it doesn't matter if we don't have music. Maybe this is a signal, and maybe this just gives us an opportunity to dive deeper in and discover those resources that it defines that we don't have to have music, aromatherapy. It lives within us. So I'm going to jump right in here. I have no disclosures. And I also want to just do a little honorarium to our Florence Nightingale. First nurse theorist, she was concerned about the most basic needs of human beings. I love that she wrote in her notes to nursing, go your way straight to God's work in simplicity and singleness of heart. She was a nurse, an educator, administrator, communicator, statistician, environmental activist. And I'm not going to read each one, but you can see that this woman she's an innovator, and she plowed a path for us. And how lucky for us that we had such a dynamic role model carving out nursing programs and curriculum for us. Here's one of my favorite slides. So she wrote in her notes to nurses back in 1880s, she wrote, it would take 100 to 150 years before educated and experienced nurses would come and arrive to change the healthcare system. Well, if we do the math, that's us. I mean, she's prophetic. And could it be more timely than now after having COVID? Even before COVID, though, nurse innovators are coming in and we're creating change. And we know that our healthcare system is in dire needs of some changes. We do fantastic with acute, and we've proven that. But our chronic care management, we're upside down. And that's where integrative therapies comes in. And that's where my passion has just exploded. And I'm having a lot of fun exploring this with you. And just stress. I don't need to go on a whole lot about stress. You're all educated. We know that it's not good. There are some cases where stress can be good if it encourages you to do something that maybe you wouldn't have done, make more courage. But really what we're talking about is the stress that has bad impact on us. So we're going to look at ways that how can we rectify this. And we get so busy and we get caught up in the whirlwinds of everything that's going on around us that it's really easy to forget to take care of us. But if we're not okay, how are we going to take care of our families, our friends, our patients? So this really is our little hour of learning to tap into what we have within us. And to start right off, we're going to do an experiential. So this experiential is much more fun with loud music. So the great thing is I do have a YouTube link, and if at the end we don't get to have this, I can certainly share these with you so that you can try this on your own. And you can't see each other. You can see me, and I'm going to do this. So feel free to enjoy this and have some fun with it. And the reason we're doing this is what I do this at my work. It's a shake break, and people have grown to love it. We don't have a whole lot of time. I mean, even 5 minutes. This experiential is a minute and a half. That's all it's going to be. And you're going to see that just within a minute and a half, you can feel a difference. And these are a few pointers of, what is a shake break? And it's just our natural way of relieving stress. I always give the analogy of pets. My dog just ran into the sliding glass door trying to barrel into the house. And the first thing they do is they shake. And animals know intuitively. Shaking is fun. It releases pain. It's more like, it can be an exercise if you want it to be, but more it just is get rid of it, kind of a fun whoops, I went too far in that one. This one is just more for tips. So let yourself go. Breathe easy. There's no right or wrong with it. You can do it sitting in a chair. You can stand up. What I like to do is I stand and I just shimmy my legs because I sit a lot with my work. So I may try to kind of show you that, but just with the screen being as it is, I think we'll probably just work with from the upper half, and so you can see what I'm doing. And a testimony to this, I most recently did it was with the pulmonary rehab group, and it was about 15, and most of them were on oxygen. And I just thought, I wonder if it's going to be okay to do a shake break, if this is going to be an okay venue for this. But they loved it. And at the end of that presentation, I mean, as with a lot of these, there were so many tears, and they just said, it has been so long since I've felt so good and just weight off my shoulders. So we'll be at work and they'll buzz over, hey, we need a shake break. So we just put one song on, and everybody, wherever they're standing, you just shake. So I'll guide you through this. But really, remember, there's no right or wrong with this. Nobody can see you. Just have fun with it. And I hope you can at least get a little bit of what the music sounds like and just have some fun. So let's try this again. So we're just going to hands, shake. Shimmy your shoulders. That's right. Break your shoulders. Body, don't do too much. The smile on your face. And that was a big, that's all that was. And maybe you've noticed a nice little reset button, which we're going to talk quite a bit about. That's a quick release. There's going to be times where you need to just decompress and be calm and maybe meditate or just be in a quiet moment. But there's times where, for me, when I'm angry, that's what I need to do, and it only takes one song. So our next segment here, I'm going to talk about a few pillars with this self-care. The first is that of spirituality. Spirituality is not religion. It really is what makes you want to get up in the morning. The example I love to give with this is a woman that we were taking care of had critical limb ischemia. She had one below knee amputation, the other leg had a bypass. She was almost healing her wound, but then her incision, of course, with diabetic, it just opened, and for, I would say, at least, gosh, it was close to 6 months, and she did not want to have an amputation. We were doing the best wound care that we could do. We were seeing her 1 to 2 times a week. She had a vac and all of this. And at one point, the doctor was late in surgery. So I got to have a few minutes with her, and I just said, what makes you want to get up in the morning? And she said, my grandchildren. And I said, what other things do you have in your life that just make you feel good? And she said, being outside, but I don't get to go outside anymore. I said, well, can you get to your sliding glass door and open your door to your porch? And she did that. She put a picture of her granddaughter next to her. And this is a true story. And in 2 weeks, her incision, and I had pictures to show this, and her incision healed. And it wasn't completely healed, but it was almost healed. Way different change over what we had been doing. Now, maybe it had nothing to do with that piece of it, but maybe it did. We don't know. It's one of those things that you can't measure, but it's a belief system. And tying in with spirituality is purpose. What is your gift and where are you going to give it? When we have something that we know is a part of who we are and why we are here, obstacles don't stand in the way. Even this right now for me, this is what I love to do. And I just, I had my moment of reflection prior, and I just know that if there's an obstacle, there's a way around it and something better will happen because of it. And so the things that would appear as a big stressor, they really aren't when you're doing your purpose. Don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive, and then go out and do it, because what the world needs is people who have come alive. In order to do this, though, we have to pause and we need to be present and mindful. And I find that so often we are busy doing. There's doing and there's being. And we are so busy. We're task oriented. We have a list of things we need to do. We need to be going to meetings. We have all these things. And I do describe it as a tornado. We get caught up in this cyclone, and it's really hard to hit the reset button and stop. But once you start doing it, it's like anything. You practice it. When you practice it, you get really good at it. And I also like to give the analogy of, it's like a life jacket. If you have a fancy new life jacket, put it on and know how it works, because you don't want to wait until your boat flips over to try to figure out how to put a life jacket on. Put it on every day. Know what size you are. Get it where the straps are. So it's inevitable. We all know we're going to have stress and crisis in our life. So practicing these reset buttons and mindfulness and presence, it's going to get you through any crisis or ordeal. So it's a mindset. This also demonstrates the point that I'm making as far as we have a sensory input, whether it be, this one is more with our senses, smell, sound, taste, touch. It can be too, though, if there's like a person that I think you probably all have experienced somebody where you just feel an energy, and whether it be something good or bad, that has an impact on you. So we can have this whole process here as a reality. This happens. So let's work with our input and how we are interpreting it to get output that's going to be beneficial to us and not detrimental. And in this slide here, this is more, I think what we see, like when we're in our nursing school, is the limbic system interacts with the cerebral cortex. So you have something happen and it assigns meaning, and then we actually have a physiological response to it. So the integrative therapies, backing up here, we're really going to work on that sensory perception. So we can't always control what other people say or do, but we sure have a say in how it impacts our factory. And I call my body is my factory, and I'm in charge of it. So I need to take good care of my body, and so that it can respond appropriately in situations. So this experiential, this is one that we're going to do where it's a self-applied massage is really what we're going to be doing. So I just want to touch a little bit about what that looks like and something to think about when you're doing this. Really, we want you just to be in a place of not worrying about what's for dinner or do you have to be somewhere. The great thing about self-applied massage is it's your gift, it's yours. You don't have to schedule an appointment. There's not a cost to it. There's no co-pays, deductibles. This is your healing tool. So through this experiential, I'll walk you through it, but I also want to tell you a couple things. One is intention is so powerful. What you intend or messages that you have within, you can manifest that. So we know from studies that love and gratitude, When you're working with intentions of love and gratitude, that has the most profound impact on your body. And I wish I could show lots of the studies and research. I guess the simplest one that you could actually see, Hidden Messages in Water, if any of you have heard of it, Maruso Emoto. And he demonstrated with music that with water crystals, and he even with words, you know, he had murky water, and the water crystals that formed with it were loves. And then he had that same water sample with a priest blessed it, or then he had children saying, I love you and thank you. And the same water sample developed these fabulous, amazing, radiant crystals. So, you know, a lot of this stuff is just really, what do you choose to believe? I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that that's pretty darn good. And I play around with that quite a bit. If I have a stomach ache, I'm going to put my hands on my stomach and I'm going to send messages of love. Thank you so much. You are doing so much work in there. And without all the things that you've done for me, I wouldn't be here. And thank you very much for that. You're done. Keep doing that. Another exercise we do a little aromatherapy. We won't be doing that today, but you get the point. There's a lot that we can do that's ours that we can play with it. What I love about this also is microsystems. Our hands, ears, and feet are microsystems of our whole body in traditional Chinese medicine. So we're not going to talk about what all these points are. I personally don't study reflexology. It's good enough for me to know that when I'm giving myself a hand massage, I'm giving my whole body massage. I was really good a while ago. It was last year. Like every night I gave myself a little foot massage with a little lavender before I went to bed. And I, you know, just like all things, I got out of the habit of it, but talking through it, it's something I need to get right back on my radar. I'm just going to show these as an example that the ear, same kind of concept. It's a microsystem of our whole body. So you can give your ear massage and have it. I had a friend that was an acupuncturist, and after the 35W in Minnesota, we had the 35W bridge collapse. She did rescue sessions for all first responders, free 15 minutes, and she did needles in the ear because it's such a high stress area, and the impact of that, she had magnificent results with her first attenders, first responders. And this is just what the foot reflexology looks like. So now we're going to go back up and we're going to have this little experiential. And again, if you don't hear the music, it's okay. We're going to just have you experience what presence is and just touch. So we're going to go ahead and hope that you can hear a little bit. Let's give this a shot. Okay. So put your hands up in front of you. And you want to just close your eyes. Just ground yourself. Okay, now I want to just rub your hands together. Notice how it feels. Notice the texture of your hands. Notice the temperature. Just to be present, to be mindful, noticing your hands. You put lotion and wash your hands every day, but we don't feel and touch. So just feel and touch your hands. Each finger, you're just going to give a little circular motion with each finger, and then pull out anything that doesn't belong there. Each finger, just give it a little massage, and then anything that doesn't belong. I like to envision little butterflies flying away after I release it. And just fingers, you can just do this on your own. Pull your hands apart, breathe in. Thank you for participating in that with me. And I would encourage you to have just some time throughout your day, even if it can't be for an entire song, a simple hand massage and just thinking about that texture, the message of thanks. Without our hands, we wouldn't be able to type, we wouldn't be able to grasp a moment of thanks. And it does have a healing effect on you. Go on to the next segment here. And we talk about that reset button. And so here is balance. I mean, we learn about this in school, in nursing school, and I remember in chemistry, homeostasis and equilibrium and equanimity, and we really want a state of balance. But when we're so busy and we're caught up, we're one way or the other, and we're not in balance. And the great thing is, we're energetic beings, and we can work with that to clear and restore blockages. And we're going to learn more about that coming up. But just think of that. I mean, if we consider ourselves as energy beings, the possibilities are endless. Integrative therapies is founded on the premise that health is a state of physical, emotional, mental, social, and spiritual wellness. And as you can see from the diagram, there's a lot of different types of integrative therapies. And for our discussion, we're a little bit of the hand massage. In person, we can do aromatherapy for that experiential. And that's a very powerful modality as well. Even a little side note, often there's a misunderstanding with aromatherapy that, you know, I'm allergic or I'm sensitive. But one little thing I just want to point out with aromatherapy is that pure essential oils are steam distilled. What we see a lot out in the market is they say they're pure, but they're distilled with solvents. So then they're not really pure, and it's often the solvent that causes the allergies. Again, with this little pulmonary rehab group, every one of them, I was a little nervous about that too, but I had very, very diluted eucalyptus, and they all loved it. And one little woman took her oxygen off and she had tears, and this is the best I've ever felt. So I just wanted to put that out there because there's some misunderstandings about that. And we could do a whole hour on aromatherapy, but we're just gonna move on for the sake of this platform. Energy, like I mentioned, everything is energy. So objects, I mean, I think of objects as energy, but what I hadn't thought about until I started studying it is the fact that Feelings, emotions are also energy. Well, Einstein proved to us that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be changed from one form to another. Again, the example here, that's science to me, and that makes perfect sense. But when you think about thoughts, emotions, and feelings are a form of energy, well, we can transform that. That's a deal breaker. And that's where I love working with energy, because this is our healing resource. This is what we have within us. So we have our purpose, spirituality, and the big guns is that we're energetic beings and we can transform what's not serving us. We have to just pause to be mindful of this, and that we recognize when we are in a state of dis-ease. Disease is dis-ease, it's lack of balance. So it's up to us as being managers of this factory. We need to be in charge of that. So mindfulness. How is my factory working today? How is it feeling? Do I need to do something on one end where I'm missing something on another? So this is an interesting example. I'd like to show that because as nurses, we can relate to circulation diagrams, arteries, veins, lymphatics, but we don't often think about the fact that energy also follows these pathways. So just as true as it is that if you have a blockage in your artery, that's a problem. Well, if you have a blockage or an obstruction in your energy flow, that's a problem. And Qigong and a lot of other energy modalities work with that to restore flow. And we're going to work on an experiential coming up so you get a feel for what that looks like. The traditional Chinese medicine, they speak of the fact that there's 6 main energy causes of blockages, and that would be emotion, nutrition, changes in the weather, environment, wrong medications, injury. What I find interesting is off to the side there, that's the risk factors for cardiovascular disease. And what we also know is that risk factors for cardiovascular disease really are congruent for a lot of our chronic disease. And if we could address these risk factors, a lot of our chronic disease would be addressed, I think, in a healthier, better approach. And how similar they are in that we can work with energy. So that's my passion, is to see a day where we can actually have a conversation with a healthcare provider and say, well, my energy channel is blocked. I mean, my old surgeon used to tease me all the time about that. And he'd say, well, maybe you need a little salt and pepper, and so he would tease, but he knew that, I had his respect, so he knew that there was something to it. And that's what's fun for me, is you have to be courageous and bold to talk about these things in a way that makes sense to people, so that they're not, okay, cray, tune out. This is real stuff. And at this point, I want to give another testimonial, because I think testimonials speak volumes. So when I was first learning about Qigong, I was working in a vascular surgery clinic that was part vascular, part general surgery. And I happened to be sitting in an area right across from an exam room that the thoracic surgeon was working. And he had a patient who had hiccups for 2 weeks straight. So imagine how annoying it is when you have hiccups for 15, 20 minutes. So this poor gentleman had lung cancer. He had a lobectomy. I saw him walk into the room. He was maybe 100 pounds, jaundiced. He had his fanny pack with his meds, and he sat, the door was closed, and all I could hear was him hiccuping. Side story, I was in a class and somebody next to me was talking about Qi. And then I went to Target and I heard somebody in line talk about Qi. And I didn't know what that was. And I went to Half Price Bookstore soon after that and loved to peruse the aisles. And there right in front of me is this book, calling my name. And it says The Healing Promise of Qi. I'm like, all right, so pull the book out. It's the Dr. Roger Jonke, The Healing Promise of Qi, which is a fantastic book. And I have references at the end of my presentation for you. But it really was teaching us that right off the bat, I opened the page and mind, body, spirit. Your body houses your spirit. Your mind directs your breath. And with those three simple concepts, mind, body, spirit, we can transform and create a healing impact. Healing and curing are different. We can always heal. Healing is more on the emotional, spiritual. It can be physical as well. Where curing is more getting rid of a disease. Healing is always possible. And it's through this mind, body, spirit approach we can do that. Well, I went in and introduced myself to the patient because I had done an exercise in that book. I explained to him, I'm only on page 30, and it explained what Qigong was, and asked his permission if he would be interested in a breathing exercise. And he said, I will try anything. And this breathing exercise we're going to do together, and I'm going to show you how it works. Really, your hands, your palms are a great receptor site of energy. So your arms are out, and you start at your side, and you're just drawing your arms up, envisioning drawing in earth energy. When you're out, you just rotate your hands up, and then you continue going up, and then you exhale and down. That's all there is to it. So I showed him. He joined me, and with 2 breaths, earth energy, heaven energy, release. His hiccups were gone. And that's a true story. And he called a week later and said he got them back one time, and he was able to make them go away. So I knew that this is something real. And from that point on began my, I started studying Qigong, and then I went on to get my holistic nurse certification. And from there, aromatherapy, herbalism, music therapy, spirituality, and healthcare and healing. And I dream of a day where this is just a part of our everyday patient plans of care. So one by one, we help each other, and the more people that learn this and experience and witness such powerful testimonies, the more of us that will be out there boldly teaching and encouraging those to believe and trust and experiment. Tap into that healing resource within us. It's like having a Christmas tree, a present under the tree. Open it and explore and work with it. So I've already spoken a bit about Qigong. Now, Qigong is literally working with energy. Qi is energy, Gong is to work with. Qigong is working with energy to create a healthy mind, body, spirit. And so Qigong breathing, this is what we're going to do a lot with coming in with some of our experientials. Again, if we don't have music, it's okay, but it just adds another layer that, for me, music speaks volumes. With this breathing exercise, you're breathing in light. So we know that our body is just filled with pores. So you're breathing in white, radiant light. Through every pore of your body, your whole body is just lit up like this magnificent, shining, radiant light. And then with your exhale, out to every pore, smoke. What doesn't belong to you, stress, sadness, anger, it's gone. It doesn't belong to you. And because I don't want to pollute the beautiful universe with the stuff that was causing pain within me, I like to envision the fact that once it leaves my body, it's back in its natural state, and the little butterflies just fly away. So essentially what you're doing is breathing in white light, exhale smoke, butterflies go away. Now, really what's cool about this is it's mindful breathing. If I say Qigong to one of my patients, they get a little bit nervous. I say mindful breathing, and then they're not afraid of it. And then once they try it and they see how powerful it is, then I can introduce that this is a healing modality that ages way back, even before it's the origin of yoga. So then you can kind of step by step help people understand that this really is a real healing modality. The other thing I love about Qigong, I just want to introduce this slide first, and then I'll tell you one of my favorite pieces of it. So in traditional Chinese medicine, we have yin and yang, and then the upper part of your body is yang, and the lower part is yin. Upper part, the yang, is the heavens, and that's in our upper region. This is where we have our divine knowledge, intuition. This is where I personally, this is where my prayer center is, and when I'm quiet the mind, quiet the chatter, then you can hear and you know your purpose, and this is your connection to the divine. This takes a little work. For me, that was a transformational time of my life. Quieting the chatter was a game changer for me. I was constantly thinking, overthinking, and it was beautiful. It was a beautiful process of quieting the chatter, trusting in the divine, carrying out my purpose, and marching with wisdom and grace and courage. One of the reasons we get sick is that yin and yang energies are not communicating well. So balance. So we have a blockage. And this little simple movement, we're going to be doing this in one of our exercises. I don't know if you can hear me when the music, it's really loud on my end. And what I've heard is that you can barely hear the music. You can sort of hear the music. So I'm hoping you can hear me talk through it. So I'll just keep showing you. The other great thing about Qigong, Master Tuni Lin in Spring Forest Qigong, I love him. He just teaches there's only good, better, best. There's no right or wrong in Qigong. So there isn't anything that you can do wrong with this. I was going to tell you one of the favorite things that was another transformational time for me with Qigong is that really, it's not that you have to take an hour and I've got to practice Qigong for an hour. You do it throughout the day because it's how you're interpreting data, how you're interpreting your surroundings. I can't control what other people say or do, but I have control over how it impacts me. So I have to give it a new meaning. So where I would, my example, I just recently moved and didn't know, we called ahead of time to make sure that we had internet connection, and we were told we did, but they came to connect it and they said, it's not even, there's no cable, nothing. So it was a surprise. I wish I would have known it was going to happen. Unplugging is something I've always wanted to do, but without being prepared for it. We've had 10 days with no internet. And then of course my mobile carrier, I had no service. So I panicked and I had a little bit where, okay, reset button. This is okay. You've always wanted to try unplugging and you get to try unplugging, and there's a fix-it plan for everything. And my fix-it plan was a divine intervention where the gentleman who was over putting our dish network heard about this, and he met with my husband. He said, you know, let's come up with a fix for this. We want to help you. We want to welcome you to our community. He said, why don't you come to our church? You can just attach to our internet, and that's where I am right now. You can see this beautiful, I'm at the church library. So beautiful skylights and, you know, blessing in disguise. So where I was panic stricken, hit the reset button, something good is going to happen. I know it, and it did. So a new perspective, knowing that I get to control how I'm interpreting that. I could have lost my mind, and there was a temptation of me to do that, but why bother? This is a much better outcome. I now have a whole community of people I wouldn't have otherwise met. So it's a way of life. It's not just an hour of doing something. This is incorporating spirituality and interpreting all the surroundings and what's happening differently. Somebody who's not very nice, don't be annoyed by that. Why would I let my cortisol level shoot out the rocket because somebody's behaving poorly? Instead, send them a blessing. I think that poor person, something happened in their life that made them be that way. And so think about the little child within and send that little child within a blessing. And I also, my trick is I send them a little light, almost like a little lightsaber of love, so that that child within can X through all the duct tape that they wrapped around, and they can come out and shine and be a good person. So, you know, you can do whatever you want just to envision something beautiful in a situation that's not beautiful. So with this experiential. This is just a wordy slide, and I'm not going to go through all the details of it. We know meditation is powerful, and so Qigong is a form of meditation. It's a form of moving meditation because we're moving. I myself, I don't do so great just sitting in silence. My mind is, I do well for a short period of time, but Qigong for me has been an answer because I can do simple movements. I love to put my diffuser on. I love to get my music, and it's fantastic. Now we're going to do an experiential. This one is where we're going to transform energy. This is, I'm going to just pause for 1 minute because I don't know if you can hear me, and the concepts I want you to hear. And we're still doing okay on time. We have 2 experientials left. This one is 5 elements, 5 organ systems, and 5 emotions. With traditional Chinese medicine, the lungs aren't just a respiratory system. They have like an entire breathing system, and it's the emotions. When you are full and vibrant, you have integrity and hope, and when you're depleted, you have sadness and grief. And then the kidneys is a water system, and it gives is metal, and metal gives life to water, which is the kidney system. So here you can see wisdom when we're full, and when we're depleted, it's fear. Well, water gives life to liver, wood. Wood and liver, when we're high and fulfilled, it's kindness. And when we're depleted, it's anger and anxiety. Wood gives life to the heart system, which is, of course, fire. We're full, it's filled with peace. And when we're depleted, it's shock. Fire gives life to earth, which is the stomach system, and that's gold. Trust when we're fulfilled, and too much worry, overthinking when we're depleted. So I'm going to talk you through this next exercise, and we're going to do some transforming of energy, and we're going to go through each of the systems, and we're going to do 2 breaths with each one, and then we'll go on to another experiential after that. So, just take a minute. Using your lungs, and breathe in white, radiant light. Integrity, shining lights. As you exhale, breathe. Let's do it again. Breathe in white, radiant light of integrity. Exhale, sadness. It's gone. Into the kidney system. That gives life to water. And that's our kidneys. Breathing in the radiant light of wisdom. Exhale. Twice. To the liver, which is blood, and water is life to blood. And radiant light of kindness, shining light. Exhale in, and long time. And again, breathing kindness. Let's breathe in light of red to our heart. Peace. And the next one we're going to do is the spleen. And we're going to breathe in gold radiant light of trust. And you're breathing in. And you're exhaling obsessions. It doesn't belong to you. And let's do that one more time. We're breathing in trust. And we're exhaling obsessions. They don't belong to you. And within that simple breathing exercise, you are transforming emotions that don't serve you into ones that are fulfilling and bring wellness and healing. Music. I love music. I'm not going to read through all of these, but just the message here that music touches us emotionally where words alone cannot. And it also has a physiological response in our body. Same sort of principle. We have this input and it sends a message to our body and our body responds to it. Entrainment, you've probably heard of when you have like a tuning fork and you chime and you have a separate one that starts. Eventually, the two sounds join together as one. Well, we can work with music to impact our body and our heartbeat and our regulatory system. I was at a conference where it was a harp session, and it was amazing. This woman would go to intensive care units, and when patients, the example she gave, going through DTs, she would play at a rhythm that matched the combative nature of these patients, and she continued playing and gradually decreasing the tempo to a point where these patients would respond to it, and even better than medication, and that it would just bring them from this crazy state down to this level of peace and quiet. Another slide that's a bit wordy, but it impacts our respiration, heart rate, blood pressure, it reduces tension. If you can't hear the music, I'll send an email to Eileen to send out to you. I would really love for you to hear the music that went with some of these experientials so that you have the full effect, because it's okay if you don't have music, but add that extra layer and the results are magnificent. We're going to go on to the next, our closing, because it is Nightingale's moment. Maybe you did this today at noon. I love that the Holistic Nurse Association sends this out every year, and just, at noon, if we can get a group of nurses together and blessing our hands, then it's a powerful moment. We know that when two or three are joined together at a certain time, that magnificent impact can happen. And that's a lot of proven data with prayer groups where they'll say, at 8 o'clock, everyone send an intention of prayer for peace. And it's remarkable what can happen with intention and focus. So I'm going to, just for a second, I'm going to try this two ways. I'm going to put music in the background and read through this. If you can't hear me reading the blessing of the hands, I'm going to just stop the music, because really I want the message clear for our blessing of the hands. So I'm going to play my music and just let me know if you can. Okay, just a
Nancy?
blessing. Yeah,
maybe just a blessing because it's muffled.
Thank you for letting me know, Eileen. Okay, so let's just put our hands out in front of us. Just blessed be these hands that have touched life. Blessed be these hands that have felt pain. Blessed be these hands that have embraced with compassion. Blessed be these hands that have been clenched with anger or withdrawn in fear. Blessed be these hands that have drawn blood and administered medication. Blessed be these hands that have cleaned the beds and disposed of waste. Blessed be these hands that have anointed the sick and offered blessings. Blessed be these hands that have grown stiff with age. Blessed be these hands that have comforted the dying and held the dead. Blessed be these hands, we hold the future in these hands. Blessed be our hands, for they are the work of your hands, O Holy One. And with that, I'll just not do the last music experiential since it's muffled anyways, and we're at the 7 o'clock time. I just want to thank you again for your patience with the audio issues, and I will send a list of the music. A couple of them are just on my computer and I can't find them anywhere on YouTube, but there's several that you can find on YouTube that are very powerful that would be great for shake breaks or just the quiet. And in fact, I don't know if you can do screenshots. That might be another thing, because this is, can you go ahead and take a screenshot of this and then you'd have your resources. This is for the relaxing.
Hey Nancy, is it possible for you to share the slides with me so we can distribute this information?
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll
Thank
send
you.
them. Yeah, you bet. So this would be, yeah, I'll just go. That you have music that's great for shake breaks when you've got like this built up tension and you just need to let it go, or what do you have? Do you just need to just be and relax? I also have Qigong resources. Ken Cohen, he was instrumental in, that was one of them that we didn't get to, is bone marrow cleansing. Maybe another platform we can do this again. It doesn't even need to be an hour if people want to just meet for, you know, a 15-minute break and we can do a couple experientials. I'm always happy to jump in and help. It's in giving that we receive, and together we can really help each other heal. Roger Jonke, The Healing Promise of Qi, is the book that I first learned from Master Tuni Lin with Born a Healer, Spring Forest Qigong. I've met all of these amazing teachers, and they speak volumes in the Department of Love and Kindness and Healing. If you're interested, I just put this on here. I have no affiliations with Spring Forest Qigong. I just find that they're fantastic teachers, and they, once COVID started, they started offering free 8 o'clock in the morning. It's a free hour of education. They're on Facebook, Spring Forest Qigong, no sign up, and they've been magnificent. So just want to share those resources with you. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Great. Nancy, thanks for the wonderful overview and presentation. I know it's not something we all do and practice every day, so it was really inspiring because everything can take just a few minutes of your day. I especially like to shake because we're all stuck in these little boxes of WebEx meetings and feeling like we're not getting any exercise and things. So easy.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure everybody knows, please feel free to put your comments in the chat. And my screen went out for a minute or two, so hopefully you did hear the one about sharing the slides with attendees. Did anybody read that one?
Yes, I mentioned that if Nancy to send me her slides, I can get that distributed to everyone so that they're able to hear that music and go to those links that she shared there.
Oh, thank you for repeating that. Sorry, my
Yes.
my communication went out. Also, too, for all of you who wish to get contact hours, we did get this approved through our provider unit for 1 contact hour, and I can pull up the screen if that's okay with Kristen. She just has to switch over so I can share the PowerPoint, and then I can put the link in the chat.
Yep, it's switching you to presenter now. I'll put the link in there if you want to share the slide. That sounds good.
Kristen, if my presentation is too large to send, I'll create a Google shared link and send it to you.
Perfect. That would work out perfectly fine.
In fact, that might work better because then I can input, I'll just enter the MP3s that I have on my computer so everyone can hear all the music. That'll work.
Sure. And Dr. Walsh, I don't know if you're trying to speak, you're muted, but the CE credit information is on the screen. We can see it, and the link is in the chat.
Sorry, I had to come back to this there we go. So any other last minute comments or questions anybody have for Nancy? I just want to give a big round
the chat.
sorry, I don't see.
I was just saying you can put your questions in the chat if you have any. I'll share this. Here we go.
There you go. Well, I wanted to give a big round of applause. I know we can't see each other clapping, but to thank Nancy for sharing her expertise and her wealth of knowledge on the topic. Hopefully we can all walk away with at least 1, 2, or 3 things we can do in our day-to-day life to make it more manageable and deal with our stressors in a positive way by looking inward. Hopefully you've all enjoyed the evening. If any lingering questions, feel free to email me at any time. So thank you so much, Nancy.
Thank you, everybody. I really enjoyed sharing this with you tonight, and I'll include my email too if anybody has questions. Thank you so much.
Great. Have a good evening, everyone. Thanks.
Right. You'll all receive a follow-up email with that information probably tomorrow sometime. So just look out for that. Thank you.
Kristen, are you still on?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, okay, great. Are we still?